Yeah, it's just the art.
It is art. It's the foremost thing is the art, and I like to experiment with that in the hopes that I'm actually going to see something else, something different. I haven't had any paranormal experiences, but obviously keep an open mind, and I basically like to see what happens. The only thing I suppose you could ever really count is that there's a particular field, obviously I won't say where, and every year we go in there and something will happen, we'll get freaked out, or basically, I think it's basically us getting freaked out every year, but it's always the same field, and we're doing this for a long time, and it never happens anywhere else. So hopefully we might see some developments along that line. There must be a reason why.
I don't think it's a joke at all. I just, I do it for me and for other people who might want to see it, and somebody running around thinking it's little green men doing it is, I haven't put that idea into their head. I can't talk them out of it, so just leave them to it. Let them think that. Yeah. I can't be responsible for what they choose to believe.
Yeah. I find it very interesting to see what other people think. I don't intentionally set out to deceive anybody. They just make their own ideas up, and I'm just interested to see what they can come up with, really, whilst at the same time not deliberately saying this is a hoax, this is real. It's up to them. They can believe what they will, really.
Trying at the moment with a site of mine called Total Human Solution to get out there sort of just a few demonstrations of what can be done. I mean, a lot of people believe that the whole art of circle making is the mystery, so I don't want to sort of blow the whole thing wide open and demonstrate everything that can be done all in one circle, but I do want to get a few points out there, like, somebody says, well, this can't be done because XYZ, and we say, well, there you go, there's proof it can be done, and they've still got the chance to sort of fit everything together for themselves.
Seems to be a lot of people out there who possibly narrow-minded. They won't. Some people are very. Some people only accept their own views, and they refuse to look at the evidence from any other point of view. And it's a very handy thing for people to think, oh, hang on, they've proved this, so this must be the case. And then they've got both sides of the evidence, and they won't just channel into their own ideas and not look around, basically.
There's an account of an old lady who was healed in a Cropcircle, and that was a Cropcircle that we did, but we can't prove it, and nobody believes it, and it's sort of, they're using the old lady's healing as part of their research into Cropcircles. But I know that I made that circle. I know that, it is man-made. There's not a phenomenon behind it, and that they're wrong on that point. And I want to be able to show that if the situation comes up again. I need to be able to prove it and say, look, you're not listening to me, so here you go, here's proof. And now you have to listen. With the website, we create the diagrams of the circles before they're done, sort of a few months in advance. We encrypt them with a public key encryption system, and people can download the encrypted files. They can keep them on their own computer, and out of my way, there's no way I can tamper with them whatsoever. Then the circle's made, all the judgments about the circle are made, and then at any time, at the appropriate time, we can release the passwords to the files. The files can be opened, and the diagrams that have been created before the circle and kept safe and out of tampering's way can be seen. And it's just, proof positive. It's a diagram produced before the event, hopefully. I've sent quite a few emails out at the launch to every researcher I could think of, and it's interesting, but only about 15 are actually on the mailing list now. One in particular I've sent 3 emails to, because it's Michael Glickman, who was on a radio programme a year ago saying that he wanted to cooperate and he wanted Circlemakers to come forward and, prove what they can do. So I sent him an email mentioning that, and he's ignored it completely. He's ignored 3, sort of stating the whole thing, and the last one quoted him from the radio show saying he wanted to work with people. and still no response at all.
I believe the website is a very positive thing. It gives the researchers and the public a chance to realise that human beings can go out and make complicated formations, whereas in the paper it will glorify it to some extent and basically not really go into detail of it. So this will give the public and the researchers something to actually go on. Particular formation that we had done, and the gist of what the researchers were saying, that it was a lot to do with ley lines and the direction in which this formation pointed. It pointed to a very significant monument, basically, and a whole tale gradually evolved as to why it faced this way, why it looked like it did, when in actual fact all we'd done is gone in there and said, what's this one look like? Oh, let's do a bit here, let's do a bit there, and basically a long tail came out of that as to why it was there. It's not exactly a military operation. I mean, we'd quickly sketch one. I mean, I would say that...
Well, we got two modes of working, really, haven't we? We either plan it
it's mentioned
down to the last detail, or we just think, let's get out there and do
Sometimes
one.
It's off the cuff. We just quickly scribble one down in the pub and shoot off in the car and off we go. There's other times we could plan it for a week beforehand, depending on where it's going to be, I suppose.
I think the forthcoming Signs movie is going to throw a lot of myths into the air. There's going to be a lot of people out there using the internet to try and find out a bit more. And hopefully they're going to get to my site and they will see, a bit of solid proof for them to use, to make their own minds up. THS site will prove specific circles are man-made, and those circles hopefully can be compared to the unknown ones, and people should see that there's no difference. We're not out to prove every single circle, we're just out to prove that it's possible, and people should see that it's a lot more plausible than aliens.
Well, we do circles for a very serious reason. I'd say there's certainly a lot of interest, certainly a lot of fun to be had from it. It's a bit strange, but it's certainly very interesting to go out at 2 o'clock in the morning and you've got to hide the car and you've got to sneak around. And at the end of it, you've actually got something to show for it.
I think I should start by saying that I started making circles primarily as an experiment to find out what's humanly possible. What can be done in a field within 4 hours with 3 other people. And I think quite quickly it becomes compulsive, and you see people's reactions to what you do, and they're very unexpected reactions. People claim to be healed in our formations. People claim to have spiritual experiences in our formations. I think hoaxers, or should we call them Circlemakers, are very misunderstood. People say that it couldn't possibly be made by people because they wouldn't bother to go to that extent to do something that extreme or that complex. And that's completely the wrong way around. Of course we do. We go to the kind of the nth degree, to the most extreme amounts. I mean, the kind of formations that you're seeing appearing now in the fields are way out on the kind of far end of what's humanly possible. The triple-armed spiral that appeared in 1996 at Windmill Hill was, I think, if you measure the diameter along the curve, is 1,000 foot across. And when you have those kind of formations appearing in fields just within one night, people think that can't be made by people. But they can be made by people. I mean, basically, they are made by people. And part of the reason why you go to so much trouble is to kind of take it to something which is seemingly beyond human endeavour. So people go out to the fields, or they see it in the press, and they say, my God, this is amazing, it could not be done by people. But the motivations of the Circlemakers are to actually push it as far as possible, so people think that it can't be made by people. But of course they're made by people. What's the point? I guess for us, for our team, for me personally, we're artists, and the circles we make are our artwork. That's the point. What's the point of art? We'd never played a joke on anybody. We'd never rug